In the future, human overpopulation has brought planet Earth to the brink of collapse. All resources are running out, and the only alternative is to abandon the planet in search of a new place to live. Mars is the best option because it is close to Earth, but first they must modify its atmosphere, and make the conditions suitable for human life. To achieve this, scientists ordered the planting on Mars of a pile of high-temperature resistant moss, and sent millions of genetically modified cockroaches to speed up the process and help create an ecosystem. It is the year 2597 in the city of Tokyo, and we see two criminals named Komachi and Nanao escaping from the police. They desperately run through the crowd, but the police soon surround them and arrest them. At that moment, a futuristic ship levitates above them and stops a few meters away. Inside is Dr. Honda, who works for the Japanese government, and after getting off the ship he offers them a deal that is hard to refuse. The man wants to send them on a mission to Mars, with the goal of exterminating the cockroaches they sent 500 years ago. If they accept the deal and fulfill their mission, Honda promises that the Japanese government will pardon their crimes, and even give them a good sum of money. Komachi has his doubts as the offer is too good to be true, and he believes that Dr. Honda might have hidden agendas, but they end up accepting anyway. 2 years later, Komachi and Nanao are trained for the mission, and are on their way to Mars in a ship called Bugs 2. Nanao doubts that they will be able to do a great job, since all their companions are terrorists and assassins just like them, but there is no turning back, and at that moment the captain of the ship, Dojima, announces that they are about to land on the surface of Mars. After landing successfully, the crew members are surprised to see that Mars is no longer the red planet it used to be, and now looks much more like Earth. Lieutenant Mina launches a capsule to the planet, which begins to eject a special insecticide to exterminate the cockroaches, and then the captain divides the crew into groups of 2, to check that the eradication process is working. A girl named Asuka is grouped with Yakuza, but she insists on going with computer engineer Ichiro. In order not to cause conflict in the group, the captain accepts Asuka's request, and then they send a drone to investigate the ship from the first mission, Bugs 1, which landed on Mars 10 years ago. Captain Dojima talks to Dr. Honda and tells him that they are ready to make contact with the earlier ship, to which the doctor responds enthusiastically, saying that he may have something else planned for them. The groups begin to explore the surrounding area for dead cockroaches, and 2 crew members, named Jim and Maria, are confused to find no trace of them anywhere. They continue exploring, until they soon come across 3 strange creatures, which look like anthropomorphic cockroaches, and quickly hide to avoid contact. At the same time, Komachi and Nanao were also exploring, when they come across a creature very similar to the previous ones. Komachi is astonished and tries to greet the humanoid, but the cockroach quickly moves towards Nanao and snaps its neck. The creature escapes with amazing speed, and Komachi tries to help it, but the woman dies in his arms seconds later. They all return to the base, and there they discover that Asuka had also died at the hands of the cockroaches. They tell the captain about the creatures, but the man had known about them all along. The doctor had forbidden the captain to tell them about the beasts, but now that they have discovered them, Dojima reveals that the cockroaches they sent 500 years ago evolved at an incredible speed due to the abundant radiation, mutating into creatures more powerful than humans. Suddenly, the doctor appears in hologram form, and assures them that they have nothing to worry about, revealing that he prepared some powerful injections that will give them superpowers. This substance, extracted mainly from insects, will combine with the DNA of the people, giving them unique powers. The crew members feel cheated and want to abandon the mission, but there is no turning back, and soon the cockroaches begin to surround the ship. One of the criminals decides to sacrifice himself and confront the cockroaches, so he leaves the ship and injects himself with the substance. This produces a profound mutation in his body, transforming him into a hybrid between human and beetle, giving him the ability to shoot flames by mixing chemicals in his body. With his new power, the man fights the cockroach, which seems to be as strong as he is. The boy uses his power and launches flames from his hands, burning the creature, but it quickly recomposes itself and we see that only its exoskeleton had been damaged. Furious, the cockroach quickly approaches and hits him in the stomach, killing him on the spot. Another creature starts banging on a window of the ship, and soon after manages to get inside, taking out 2 crew members in a second. The captain injects himself with the substance and quickly mutates, transforming into an ant hybrid that allows him to lift 100 times his own weight. Dojima smashes the cockroach to the ground, finishing it off thanks to his enormous strength, but before they can celebrate victory they see on the radar how hundreds of creatures surround the ship. The team understands that the only option they have is to abandon Mars if they want to survive, and the lieutenant tries to start the ship, but all the engines begin to fail, as if someone had sabotaged them. The captain quickly thinks of a plan, and orders the team to go to Bugs 1 and get the necessary components to repair their ship, while he stays behind to fight the cockroaches. Ichiro says he will stay behind to help fight the captain, and before leaving, Komachi goes to see Nanao's body and promises to avenge his death. The team quickly gets into a scouting vehicle, and one of the boys, named Tezuka, decides to inject himself with the substance, saying that way they will have a better chance of survival. Tezuka mutates into a strange beetle hybrid, allowing him to expel combustible gases from his mouth at very high speed. The boy climbs into the vehicle and propels the team through the wave of cockroaches, managing to escape. On the ship, the captain fights the hordes of cockroaches, and Ichiro mutates into his hybrid form as well. The young man quickly runs to the control room, and expels all the oxygen from the ship to suffocate the creatures. His plan works, and minutes later the cockroaches begin to die one by one, but the lack of oxygen also affects him and the captain, who soon fall to the ground. At the same time, in the vehicle, the group sees what appears to be a mountain in the distance, but it turns out to be a tsunami of cockroaches coming towards them. Tezuka uses all his power to propel the vehicle, and they crash into the wave of cockroaches, making it through and make it to the other side safely. However, they soon notice another huge horde of creatures, even bigger than the one they just passed through. Tezuka can't handle it all alone, so two girls from the group inject themselves and mutate into their hybrid form to help him, giving their best to get through the creatures, but the vehicle overturns as it comes out of the wave, throwing the three hybrids to the ground. Inside the car the humans are knocked unconscious, but the vehicle quickly activates autopilot mode and continues towards the ship. The companions left behind get up and try to fight off the cockroaches, but are eventually killed. Upon regaining consciousness, the group inside the car discovers that they have already arrived at Bugs 1, and they enter the ship while two members guard the entrance. Mina tries to diagnose the ship's status, and discovers that the system was sending information to someone on Earth. At that moment they hear gunshots from outside, and upon exiting only find their two companions dead on the ground. Apparently, the cockroaches found weapons in Bugs 1 and had learned how to use them. Komachi injects himself with the dose, and quickly mutates into a huge hornet, which gives him brutal strength and stingers in his hands, with which he punches holes in the cockroaches that come near to attack them. Jim does the same, mutating into a killer locust capable of jumping hundreds of meters in the sky, and killing his enemies using only the strength of his feet. Mina also injects herself, becoming a praying mantis hybrid capable of cutting cockroaches in two using only her arms. With their new powers, the three fight the creatures, finishing them off with some ease. On Earth, Dr. Honda communicates with someone mysterious, who turns out to be one of the cockroaches from Mars, able to talk just like humans. With the doctor's instructions, the insect goes to Bugs 2, and after restoring oxygen to the ship, the cockroach begins to split in two, revealing that Asuka was inside. Everyone thought the girl had died, but it turns out that her transformation was based on the emerald wasp, capable of controlling the mind and body of other insects. Thus, when Asuka was attacked, she defended herself by taking the body of one of the cockroaches, and making them fight each other. After this, Asuka shoots the captain several times, finishing him off, and then throws water on Ichiro, whose transformation is based on the ancestral chironomid insect, a creature capable of surviving the most extreme conditions, and which only needs water to come back to life. It turns out that the two of them were working on a secret mission for Dr. Honda, and it was Ichiro who sabotaged the Bugs 2 ship so that it could not take off. Honda had assigned them the mission to bring a cockroach egg to Earth, so that the Japanese government can study and multiply it, creating an army of cockroaches to bolster the country's military might. Komachi and his team hear the thrusters of the Bugs 2 ship from afar, and the doctor approaches them with a drone, saying that the plan was never to exterminate the cockroaches on Mars, but to collect biological material from the insects to create a super army with which to dominate the Earth. Ichiro and Asuka take off in the Bugs 2 ship with the egg, but in mid-flight the egg begins to hatch, giving birth to two super-evolved cockroaches. Asuka tries to use her powers to control them, but this has no effect on them. The creatures had evolved over all the others, making them immune to the girl's powers, and quickly kill Asuka with a punch to the stomach. The beasts quickly call out to the others for help, and the cockroaches on Mars spread their wings and fly towards the ship. The creatures stick to the ship and damage the thrusters, causing the ship to plunge toward the planet and crash near Bugs 1. The evolved creatures leave the ship and order the others to attack the terrestrials. Seeing this, Komachi and his companions inject themselves with another dose, becoming even stronger and managing to defeat the more basic cockroaches, but they have nothing to do against the two evolved cockroaches. Mina tries to attack one of them, but the creature rips off her arm and kills her instantly. Jim and Komachi inject themselves with another dose, accelerating the mutation process and becoming even stronger. After killing several cockroaches, Jim injects himself once more, developing wings with which he fights in the air, and soon realizes that if they want to win they must defeat the evolved cockroaches, so he injects himself with multiple more doses, making the mutation irreversible. With incredible strength, Jim manages to kick one of the leading cockroaches, shattering its head, and finally finishing it off. However, the young man had used all his power, and soon falls to the ground. Komachi tries to defend his friend from the other leader creature, but is easily defeated. Just as the leader is about to finish him off, some kind of glowing butterfly flies over the insects, leaving a trail of glowing particles that land on the cockroaches. They all stare at it in amazement, and soon discover that the creature is Nanao, who had evolved into her final form. Komachi quickly flies towards the girl trying to protect her, but before she can reach her, one of the cockroaches shoots at them, and a huge chain explosion occurs, wiping out all the creatures. It turns out that the glowing dust expelled by Nanao was millions of micro-bombs, which exploded in chain from the gunfire. Jim flies away just as the explosion occurs, taking Komachi with him and managing to save him, but Nanao is not as lucky and dies in the middle of the flames. Some time later, Komachi regains consciousness and sees that Jim had completely turned into an insect. Jim tells him that he cannot return to Earth in this state, and asks Komachi to escape while he can. After an emotional farewell, Komachi agrees and heads for the ship, but just before he enters he sees that the lead cockroach was still alive. Komachi hits the weak insect, and when it is on the ground he thinks about killing it but decides not to finish it off. Upon entering the ship, Komachi finds Ichiro still alive, and the young man points a gun at him, saving his life from the cockroach behind him. They decide to cooperate to return to Earth, and take off in the escape pod while the creatures watch them from the surface. Back on Earth, Dr. Honda discovers that Ichiro had hacked into his system, and began broadcasting everything that happened on Mars on open television. Honda knows that the Japanese government is going to kill him for his incompetence, so he thinks about hiding, but his assistant points her gun at him, revealing that she is a spy working for the government. The girl shoots him, but Honda was prepared for this moment, and after stopping the bullet he kills his assistant with a powerful toxic gas. In the escape capsule, Ichiro promises that he will expose all those responsible and involved in the experiment, and then asks Komachi what his plan is when he arrives on Earth, to which the man replies that he will make graves in honor of all the deceased, and return to fight on Mars. Subscribe and turn on notifications to see more videos like this. Leave a like to help the channel out, and thank you for watching.